I think that several of the majority of concerns that our office has received over the last couple of weeks is that they feel that our current administration in the White House may attempt to sidestep Congress through an executive order and make an attempt to legislate through an executive order process instead of passing legislation through Congress that would restrict law-abiding citizens' rights that are afforded to them by the Second Amendment to bear arms and to protect themselves. Correct. Well, the President handed down a 23-point executive order, and several of the points that were in those 23 executive orders involved tightening several of the loopholes that are currently out there regarding background checks for the purchase and acquisition of firearms. Clearly, that is extremely important. I don't think that you'll find a law enforcement official that wants firearms to end up into the hands of criminals. But I think really what the majority of Missourians' concerns are is that the President may attempt to pass an executive order or hand down an executive order that restricts law-abiding citizens' ability to possess firearms. And that is something that when I took my oath of office on January 1st of this year as sheriff, that I felt was extremely important that we take a stand and we say, we will support the Constitution as it is written. And the Second Amendment is very clear. It says that our rights, quote, shall not be infringed upon in accordance to the Second Amendment. And I think it's extremely important that we note in several of the large cities in the nation, in the United States, that have passed gun bans that have made it illegal for law-abiding citizens to possess firearms, that crime rate has gone up. Murders have gone up. And several of the headlines in the media have attacked assault weapons and homicides that are by firearm. But if you take a look, the FBI produces a uniform crime report, and anyone can jump on the internet and research the facts themselves. But specifically, if you look at the amount of homicides that were done by rifle, if you look at the number of homicides that were committed by rifle, it is significantly less than homicides that were conducted by knives and other blunt objects. I think that it's extremely important that we do work with other law enforcement agencies, and we do work with the legislature and our representatives to ensure that some of the loopholes are closed in relation to background checks, and that we are able to communicate with the mental health community so that there is a more open process for us to communicate and identify those areas. But we really think that those issues need to be handled on a local level, on the state level, and it's really important that we allow the legislative process to work through these things, not rush into handing down executive orders, and so that these things can be looked at and examined in a very thorough process so that our citizens' rights are not infringed upon and that our constitutional rights are protected. And I think that really as a county sheriff, that is our burden. Some of the confusion has been said that, or some of the confusion has been that I wouldn't or do not support some of the orders that are currently out there, some of the laws that are on the books. I think it's important that we enforce the laws that are currently on the books and that we ensure that criminals are firmly prosecuted and that the laws that are out there now are consistently applied to those that violate the law, so that if you have a criminal that commits a crime involving a weapon, that they are held accountable. And I think it's extremely important. My office would not enforce an executive order that would be handed down and does not agree with the Constitution as it is written currently, that would restrict law-abiding citizens' rights or repeal law-abiding citizens' rights to possess firearms. And that's something that a lot of the folks in our county and across Missouri are concerned about. No, actually, my office was inundated with telephone calls from across the nation. We received calls from as far away as California, North Carolina, Texas, many calls from within the state of Missouri, thanking me for taking a public stand, as well as other sheriffs have in the state of Missouri, for taking a stand to protect their rights, and thank me for being a constitutional sheriff. I figured at first there probably would be some fallout, but it seemed as if the majority of the calls that we received, actually all of the calls that we received, were very supportive, and we're pretty excited about that. Well, my oath that I took was to support the Constitution and defend the Constitution. The Constitution currently is very clear. It's very black and white on our right to bear arms. That is what I'm going to enforce.